What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you for clicking into this video. Hope you're doing well. And it's time to talk about AEW Full Gear. And I'll just skip over the pre-show because it really wasn't worth talking about, apart from the fact that maybe some fat 7-year-old with a double chin was more over than the majority of this roster. And that is a massive problem. Because they've given them the storylines, the storytelling, the story arcs, so this character development has been piss poor in this company for a very long time. The way it's managed, the way it's run is poor, and there's only one person to blame. It's not the talent, it really isn't. We've got some great talent there. It's the way they're being utilised and the way they've been used. It's just, yeah, they're going round in circles now. This was arguably their worst pay-per-view of all time. It wasn't good at all. When you've got Orange Cassidy in your main event, you're supposed to make people believe that someone like him stands a chance at winning the world title. You know there's problems. I mean, I'm nothing against people who like Orange Cassidy, but you've got to admit he is not at that level. And he shouldn't be for a very long time. The main show was kicked off with a 4-way tag team title match. Private Party, new tag team champions, after beating the Bucks a couple of weeks ago. And did anyone really think realistically they were dropping the titles this early? The 3 teams you had out there, just pointless. There was no point to it. It felt rushed, put together, no point to it. It was a tournament, no story there whatsoever, just 4 teams thrown together, and there you go, there's your match. And it felt like that, and it looked like that, and it was like that. I mean, you could do something with the House of Black, you could do something with the Outrunners, you could do something with the Acclaimed and tell stories with Private Party. You could have had, after them beating the Bucks at this first pay-per-view, going up against a team like FTR, who are legitimately one of the other best tag teams in the world. After they've beaten the Bucks, they go up against FTR, legitimise themselves even more. Then you could head into a story with either, I don't know, the House of Black or the Acclaimed, which would be really good. But no, we get a 4-way tag team title match that really means nothing. Did anyone ever really think, realistically, that MJF was going to lose to Roderick Strong? Why should we care about Roderick Strong after all this time? Have they given us any reason to care about the character of Roderick Strong? There is no likeable qualities to him either, still, in his personality that he portrays on the screen. Him, the rest of the Kingdom, Adam Cole, it's just pathetic. Just looks pathetic. Just everything about him is pathetic. Now, he is a shadow of the guy that was the face of NXT all those years ago. Such a shame what he's become. Mercedes had another match no one cared about. Silence on her way to the ring. Silence during the match. Silence at the finish. Kamile's been ruined. Statlander deserves better. This was just dreadful. What a waste of money. Ospreay and Fletcher was so boring. The only people who probably cared about this match was the 2 people in the match. Fletcher will never be a big star. He won't. I'm sorry, he won't be a big star. And Ospreay losing at this point in his early days which it is early days in his AEW run, helps nobody. He's still not over. People might like to think he is. He might think he is, but he is not over in this market. He was over in Japan, he was over in the UK, definitely. Great wrestler, I loved him, my daughter loved him. There are a lot of people in this country who loved him. But unfortunately, Billy boy, you ain't over. And losing here helps no one. I'm sorry, and that's a fact. White beat Page again. Why? Why is Hangman constantly losing and losing and losing and losing? He beat Swerve Strickland, and I thought, okay, maybe they're going to move him up now the card. Maybe they'll move him up now into the title picture. And they kind of do it at the end of the show, which was kind of weird. But he loses here clean in a very good match. One of the better matches of the show with Jay White, who I really enjoy as well, and who they've done absolutely nothing with since he debuted. And now all of a sudden, boom, we're going to put him in the main event picture. Behave. Out of nowhere. No story to it whatsoever. No one cares about Ricochet either. He's barely been here a minute. And people have forgotten about him already. And Takeshita. How can you drop the ball on someone like Takeshita? The guy looks like a star, is a star. Why is he not in the main event? Why are we having to suffer through fucking John Moxley instead of having Takeshita as a world champion? I suppose it's because Don Callis is with him. He needs to get away from Callis as soon as possible. He may need someone to talk for him, but it ain't Callis. He is not the answer in 2024. And I've got to say, Mariah May, arguably the worst AEW Women's Champion of all time. She has been dreadful. Her run has sucked ass. Really has been bad, and it's got worse week by week by week by week, and it's got to this point right here where they do this celebration. How long ago was she the crowned the champion? And she's having another celebration? Why? Make it make sense. Why should anyone care about her relationship with this Japanese girl we know nothing about? All of a sudden she just rocks up and they're kissing each other and shaking their tits and drinking champagne, and they're supposed to think that makes us care about this. They've done nothing. No story whatsoever. It's laughable. And then Mariah out of nowhere tries to turn on her. It goes tits up for her. And we get what we get. Awful segment. Another awful women's segment on this show that just shows Tony can't book wrestling shows. He needs someone to do it for him. That's not an insult. He's a money man. He's a wrestling fan, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he don't know how to book a wrestling show. Everyone can see it now. Garcia wins the TNT Championship and no one cared. Why should we? When have they given us any reason to care about Daniel fucking Garcia? Where have they built him up into this position to beat Jack Perry? And what about Jack Perry now? After that CM Punk rub that he got. Now what we're doing with him? What happens next to Perry now? Did anyone ever think Bobby Lashley was losing to Swerve Strickland out the gate in his first match in AEW? Behave. I mean, the guy needs to be world champ as soon as possible in this company. The Herc Syndicate should be running this show as soon as possible, please. Just let them take over. Let them destroy Moxley's little faction. Yeah, and then have done with them. And just let MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley just run the show. I mean, look how entertaining they were. Not just on this show, but go and check out afterwards during Tony's interview time where he talks to the little marks who have the wrestling sites that think they're press, that think they're journalists. Hilarious. MVP, Bobby Lashley owned them. It was fantastic. Anyway, we've got to get to the main event, really, haven't we? We've got to talk about Moxley and how ridiculous he is. Walks like he's shit himself. Who walks like that? I mean, did anyone ever think Orange Cassidy was going to win this title? Seriously. We were seriously believing that he stood a chance. This match was just a Moxley match. Just violence for no fucking reason. Blood for no reason. Scraping the nails on his back for no reason. It was just terrible. His matches are horrible. I'm not a Moxley fan. Not a fan of his matches. Never have been. Never will be. Not a fan of his at all. None of his promos make any sense to me. None of his matches are any good to me. He shouldn't be world champion in my opinion. He shouldn't be anywhere near the main event in my opinion. The highlight was Cage coming out at the end with Hangman Page dropping Moxley, trying to cash in. Jay White interferes. Are we headed for a 4-way now? Is that where we're going with this? At World's End, this company is crying out for some direction. Someone who can write, someone who can produce and create a decent wrestling show. The talent is there, but there is no one with any kind of experience who knows how to put together weekly TV and help tell stories and build towards a pay-per-view. The problem is the guy with the money. He thinks he can do it all by himself. He thinks anyone can do it. And he wants to do it by himself. But he's become a complete failure. Let's have it right. He really has. He's failed. You failed, Tony. He needs someone to manage the company, really. He really does. Take over the day-to-day running, the creative, the running of the company. Yeah, he's the fan. Yeah, he can have money. Yeah, he can have a bit of an input. He has to find someone like at Fulham. He's not managing the team. He's got Marco Silva in there. And I'm pretty sure it's the same for the Jaguars. He's got someone in there, a coach running the team. He's not on the touchline calling the plays. I'm pretty sure he's not. It's the same for Fulham. Marco Silva's doing a decent job with Fulham. They're still in the Premier League. Up and down, have a few good results, a couple of bad ones. Didn't have a great one this weekend, but never mind. But he's not in charge completely, is he? He needs someone who knows how to run a wrestling company. Someone with experience to run a wrestling company. He needs to stop being so fucking arrogant before this whole thing goes down the toilet. And that is the truth of it. I want this company to do well. But unfortunately, here's the problem within this wrestling company. And that is the major issue, in my opinion. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.